After getting struck by lightning, losing his God Wars account, which he spent stupid amounts of money on, and making a new one, our resident scrub, Zhang Yanwu, unexpectedly obtained the highly rare Archmage class. With it, Yanwu was able to see pieces of hidden information that helped him advance through the game. He even managed to acquire a divine beastie named Lucky, a cute little puppy that aided him in his quests. He then left the town of Beginning to learn more about the traces of the Nameless God and complete the main scenario quest, a story that the God Wars creator hid in the game. Yanwu headed to the city of Wagar, where he approached the NPC Sahalin for help. However, Sahalin first wanted Yanwu to prove himself to her by hunting 10,000 orcs. Naturally, Yanwu was pissed at first, because he didn't have time to do that. But he soon learned that hunting 10,000 orcs would help him recover a fragment of the Nameless God. As Yanwu heads to the forest to hunt, he sees other players having a hard time fighting an orc. From a cliff, he thinks about the real objective of that quest, which is to get the item that's randomly dropped from hunting orcs. Since Sahalin told him to catch 10,000 orcs, it means that if he caught them randomly, the item should have about a 0.01% drop rate. But since Yanwu has eyes that can see hidden information, he just has to find the one that has the fragment. Of course, Yanwu immediately encounters a problem. The orc that's carrying the fragment is already being hunted by other players. Although it's just a game, Yanwu thinks it would be too much for him to forcefully take the fragment away or pick a fight with the players, especially since they were there first. Don't you think so too, Lucky? Then, suddenly, one of the players stops moving. As it turns out, he didn't log out a while ago, so he gets forcefully logged out. In God Wars, players will automatically be logged out if they play for over 5 consecutive hours. As the players continue to defend themselves from the orc, Yanwu gets an idea of how to solve this problem. After that, another player gets forcefully logged out.
"All viewers, please look over there,"
announces Yanwu.
"I found a party in danger."
One of the players instantly assumes that Yanwu is a streamer and begs for help, like he's actually talking to his viewers. Yanwu declares he'll now help the players before jumping off the cliff with Lucky. What a hero. In a flash, Lucky manages to bite the orc and quickly moves away, leaving the monster enraged. Then, Yanwu throws a fireball at the orc to stop it from coming after Lucky. The orc doesn't immediately die, but Yanwu is glad that it dealt quite a lot of damage. At the same time, he wonders if that thrill is the reason why people play the game while spending loads of money. Seconds later, the orc comes at Yanwu, but the Archmage easily avoids the attack. Wasting no time, Yanwu fires ice arrows at the orc, all while thinking about how he survived for 5 years in that game with nothing but effort. Once he hits the orc with his arrows, he uses fireball again to finish it off. Yanwu is confident that orcs are no match for him, and sure enough, he reduces the terrifying orc to ashes.
"You have hunted an orc."
Afterward, the guy who got forcefully logged out earlier returns to the game. He is surprised to see that the orc is already dead, and he earnestly thanks Yanwu for helping them. Embarrassed, or perhaps he's just pretending to be, Yanwu states that as beginners, they should help each other. At that moment, Yanwu proceeds with his plan. Normally, it is an unspoken rule of God Wars that people who attack a monster first get first dibs on the items. So, if they go by that rule, it means Yanwu has no rights to the item. Yanwu informs the players that he's actually on a live broadcast. But hey, we all know that's not true. He's not even a streamer. Yanwu then thanks his, viewers for their support, and talks as if they want him to loot the items after hunting the orc. He also pretends to be upset and tells the viewers he can't just do that, because he only interfered midway. In other words, the other players have the right to item looting. Now, here comes the best part.
"Please, take them,"
says one of the players, urging Yanwu to obtain whatever items he can find. But Yanwu refuses, so the other player adds that if it weren't for him, they would have been wiped out. With a smile on his face, Yanwu agrees with the players because, it's not polite for him to keep refusing. He also shows the players to his imaginary viewers, and says that because of them, he's got such an amazing opportunity. Finally, Yanwu gets started with the item looting, and swears to do an event if a rare item comes out. It isn't long before 3 items are added to Yanwu's inventory, but he only gets miscellaneous items. At least that's what he wants the players to believe. The truth is, he got what he needed, and he's thankful that the players let him have the items. Then, one of the players asks Yanwu what his streamer nickname is, saying he'd love to promote his stream to his friends. Yanwu thinks he might start streaming for real one day, so he replies that it's Archmage Streamer. Wink wink. Later, Yanwu returns to Sahalin's house and gives the NPC the fragment. Solin points out that Yanwu must have been lucky, and that's when the Archmage completes the quest, causing him to level up. At the same time, the system asks Yanwu if he'll take the skill reward, and when he replies that he will, he obtains Long Toss. With this, Yanwu's magic attack will increase in damage depending on the distance between him and his enemy. It's a common skill for the Mage Realm, by the way.
This is a really sweet skill!
Yanwu is excited because no skill could compare to Long Toss when hunting gigantic monsters. Then, when he notices Solin examining the fragment, he asks her what it is for. So, Solin asks Yanwu if he knows why it's hard to find the traces of the nameless god. When the Archmage doesn't answer, Solin explains it's because a barrier was set up so that only those who used to follow the gods can get close to where the traces are. She also asks Yanwu what needs to be done to break through that barrier, and the Archmage replies they have to act like they're believers.
That's right,
says Solin. After that, Solin creates a ring from the fragment of the nameless god and gives it to Yanwu. With it, the user can temporarily break through the barrier of the altar of a god who's lost his name. Yanwu wonders what kind of place that is, and when Solin asks what he wants to do, he makes it clear there's no danger that can stop him. Get with the program, buddy. Danger is Yanwu's middle name. Well, it used to be Broke, but we don't talk about that. And so, a new quest has been updated in the main scenario quest list. Through the quest window, Yanwu learns he must locate the secret altar in the forest reeking of fish and uncover its secrets. Additionally, he can proceed to Slayer after completing the quest. But of course, what catches Yanwu's attention is the reward, which is a legendary skill card. Nice. A legendary skill card only means the quest has an insane difficulty. This is Yanwu's first time seeing a legendary skill as a reward, and that motivates him to finish the quest as quickly as he can. Yanwu knows that finding the location of the altar is only a matter of time with Lucky, and once again, Lucky agrees with his master. Even though Lucky's just barking, Yanwu believes he means to say that he'll immediately find the secret altar for him. You're the best, Lucky. That night, in the forest reeking of fish, Yanwu and Lucky find the secret altar's entrance. As expected, the entrance is well hidden, so Yanwu proceeds to take a look at the dungeon info. As it turns out, the dungeon rank is legendary, and only those who are at level 20 or below can enter. Once Yanwu deals with the decaying orc, he'll be rewarded the title, Source of the Fishy Smell. As Yanwu imagines what the orc looks like, he can't help but think that it would be stronger than a regular orc. He also considers the factor that only those at level 20 or below can enter. And soon, he decides to hunt something else. Wait, what? But you eat danger for breakfast, right, Yanwu? Needless to say, Lucky is surprised and disappointed with Yanwu's decision. Yanwu stresses it's not an easy task to hunt the boss monster at his current level, wanting to just leave the dungeon alone. Hello? You're at level 11, Yanwu. He adds that if it's level 20 and under, they can just enter when he's at the right level.
No need to purposely make it harder on myself.
Well, Yanwu's got a point. Anyway, he asks Lucky to follow him, but as they travel, they come across a group of players fighting orcs. The players blame each other for not doing their jobs properly, and Yanwu realizes that the tank is the party leader. When Yanwu started playing in a party 5 years ago, he had a hard time trying to keep up with his party members. Not too long after, guys with money to burn started buying skills and items, and a gap began widening between the players. Back then, Yanwu hated seeing those players who spent a lot of money playing games, but others probably see him like that now. Moments later, Yanwu sees an orc that's minding its own business and shoots it with an ice arrow before throwing fireball at it.
You leveled up.
The system informs the Archmage, who's having a good time. Later, other players start talking about the solo mage who's been slaying the orcs alone for several days in the forest reeking of fish. Yes, they're talking about Yanwu. They refer to him as the one-combo man, who finishes the hunt in one combo. Some of them have heard that this player is an archmage and a streamer, and that he carries around a divine beast. Hey, Yanwu doesn't carry Lucky around, you hear me? Lucky is an independent boy puppy. Others speculate that Yanwu is a gold spoon who's been born into a rich family, and that makes one particular guy curious. At the same time, he wonders what item he'll get if he kills a rich archmage. After a few days, Yanwu notices that his ears have been itchy lately. Well, it's because players are gossiping about you, Yanwu. Will you please focus? As an orc charges at Yanwu, the Archmage hits it with the fireball, instantly knocking it down. Bullseye! Eventually, Yanwu reaches level 20 and celebrates with Lucky. Then, he checks the level up card to obtain his reward, but he's not getting his hopes up because there haven't been any useful ones since level 11. But suddenly, Yanwu and Lucky see something that shocks both of them.
I got a unique!
Yanwu exclaims in the Capsule Cafe as he finishes playing the game. Oh wait, my bad, it's not Yanwu, it's just some random guy who got a unique ring. He wants to treat other players to lunch, but Yanwu's sulking and doesn't want to eat. Yanwu then asks his friend, Yukju, to set him up to get back in the game, surprising the guy since Yanwu doesn't normally refuse free food. Inside the game, Yanwu checks his new skill card, which is Dragon's Majesty. All targets in specified proximity exposed to the Dragon's Majesty will receive increased damage from all sources by 10%. Also, the specified proximity increases depending on the user's level.
God, it's so hard to keep a poker face.
You see, Yanwu was just pretending to be upset because he didn't want anyone to know about Dragon's Majesty. Now, he compares Dragon's Majesty to Long Toss, excited to think that every player who joins him in battle will get an attack increase of 10%. Additionally, Yanwu will be more useful than an average player by just showing up to a raid and standing there. But of course, Yanwu isn't satisfied to have only that. He intends to earn a lot of money to send his niece to school, buy a luxurious car, and move to a big house with his family, where they can get their own rooms. Look at Lucky. He doesn't even know what Yanwu's talking about, but he responds so well. Moments later, Yanwu and Lucky reach the entrance to the secret altar. He then equips the ring made from the fragment of the nameless god, because he needs it to enter the hidden dungeon. After that, Yanwu inserts his arm into the hole in the ground, and soon senses the boundary of the dungeon. Thanks to the ring, Yanwu is able to deceive the barrier, and it allows him to enter. It isn't long before the ground splits open, and a set of stairs appear before Yanwu. Well, there's no turning back now. So, when the system asks Yanwu if he wants to enter the dungeon, he eagerly replies that he does. Inside the dungeon, Yanwu and Lucky effortlessly defeat 22 cent chunk orcs. If it was a stream, Yanwu is sure he'd keep getting donations, but he can't reveal himself to the world just yet. Then, Yanwu reaches the boss room, where all stats are decreased by 10%. When the decaying orc opens its eyes, Yanwu doesn't even get surprised that it's an undead-type monster. He wants to quickly kill the decaying orc to obtain a legendary skill card, but he is shocked to see the monster's HP, which is 30 times larger than a regular orc's. Without warning, the decaying orc tries to smash Yanwu with its fist, but the archmage gets out of the way with Lucky. The decaying orc continues to come at Yanwu, and that's when he notices that even though its HP is incredible, it moves slowly. Yanwu wonders if high HP means low speed, realizing he got scared for nothing. At that speed, Yanwu even has about 2 seconds of free time, even after casting his spell from a distance. So, Yanwu throws a fireball at the decaying orc, but the monster receives very little damage. A boss is a boss. It might take some time, but Yanwu is confident he'll have no problem killing the decaying orc. Sure enough, Yanwu defeats the decaying orc after several hours. At the same time, Yanwu obtains several titles, but all he can think about is the reward. Later, Yanwu returns to Sahalin's house, where the NPC praises him for finding the traces of the nameless god. Yanwu tries to say something, but Sahalin continues to compliment him for doing it in such a short period of time. She then gives Yanwu a skill book as a gift, although she adds it might be too much for him. Again, Yanwu attempts to tell Sahalin something and takes the book too, but the NPC won't stop interrupting him. Sahalin asks Yanwu if he's not curious about what the decaying orc said before it died, leaving the archmage frustrated. So, let's go back to the dungeon and see what happened, shall we? Earlier, Yanwu was checking his reward when the decaying orc suddenly spoke, scaring the life out of him. Oh, Lucky was frightened too. The decaying orc mocked Yanwu when it realized what the guy was after. The archmage remembered that the goblin spellcaster also rambled on before dying. Then, the decaying orc asked Yanwu if he truly wanted a weapon that could end even the myths, which left him completely stunned. Now that Sahalin knows Yanwu is interested in a particular weapon, she asks him to do her a favor and promises to tell him everything she knows after. Once again, a main scenario quest has been created. Yanwu's task is to hunt down the Annihilator Orc, and his reward will be Sahalin's ring. Immediately, Yanwu accepts the quest. Upon completion, the title Knowing the Almighty class will be obtained by Yanwu. That quickly catches Yanwu's attention, for it proves the existence of a mythic rank weapon. When God Wars was launched, many asked if an item beyond the legendary rank existed. The developer didn't give a straight answer and only replied that it could possibly exist, and after that interview, no one managed to find a mythic rank item. So, in the end, it only became a rumor. Now, as he travels with Lucky to do his quest, Yanwu thinks about what to do. He knows that he can't act rashly, and if he makes a mistake, his family could get in danger too. The aftermath of revealing that information isn't something Yanwu can handle, and he's sure it will have an impact even in the outside world. However, if Yanwu shares that information properly after all the necessary preparations, then things might go his way. But first, Yanwu must clear the quest and make sure Lucky is okay inside his cloak because, my goodness, it's stuffy in there. After playing the game, Yanwu heads home and wonders if things will be okay. In his phone is the Annihilator Orc Guide, which has a difficult clearing requirement but doesn't have a good reward. Despite that, so many people try to clear it because, within God Wars, the Annihilator Orc is considered a trophy to be hunted in order to be acknowledged as a rising rookie. It's akin to a prerequisite since nowadays, you need as much stuff on your resume as possible. Yanwu knows that the Annihilator Orc is a monster with an unnecessarily great clearing difficulty, and he needs to accept that he won't be able to hunt it alone.
Do I have to find a party this time around?
While Yanwu is googling like crazy on his phone, his brother Tae-woo, who's doing better now after being hospitalized, approaches and asks what he's doing. Yanwu replies it's nothing and that he's just working, but his brother doesn't believe him. Upon seeing Tae-woo's reaction, Yanwu tells him he's in a good mood lately because his work's been going well, so there's no need to be serious. But as it turns out, Tae-woo's actually worried if Yanwu will ever get married at all. Yanwu is shocked, but he tries not to pay attention to what his brother said and just advises him to focus on his daughter, Hyerin. He's relieved that things have been good lately, and just by selling some hidden information and items, he won't have to worry about money for a few months. But sadly, Yanwu needs to do more than that. Also, since he's decided to play solo, he should see it through. I'm going out, Yanwu informs his brother before leaving. As he walks to the Capsule Cafe, Yanwu tells himself that he doesn't have to find a party because he has Lucky. Yes, Yanwu, you can do anything with your divine beast. Once he's inside the game, Yanwu warmly greets Lucky, who's clearly missed him. The two then prepare to go hunting, and Yanwu can't help but think how the name Midas would spread if he starts looking for a party, even if it's a common one. Sure, things have been going well for Yanwu, but he doesn't want to reveal his identity to the community just yet. As he cradles Lucky, Yanwu assures the puppy that he's the only one for him. After that, a question mark suddenly appears above Lucky's head, followed by an information window from which Yanwu finds out that his divine beast will evolve when it takes the final breath of 444 monsters. Upon evolution, stats will improve and new skills will be learned. How cool is that? It's about time Lucky evolves like other divine beasts, but Yanwu is confused as to why his evolution requirement is an XP accumulation. Does this mean that the people who said the evolution requirement for divine beasts was hunting 5,000 monsters were all wrong? Anyway, since this is high-class information, Yanwu plans to sell it to the community later.
Lucky, you're such a lucky charm!
Yanwu cuddles the puppy close, but of course, he needs to make him evolve first. Lucky is already tearing apart orcs, so imagine what he'd be able to do once he evolves. If that happens, it will be possible for Yanwu to solo kill the Annihilator Orc, and it will be really good if he gets a unique skill as a reward. In the meantime, Yanwu decides to hunt more orcs with Lucky, since last hitting 400 monsters won't happen overnight. Yanwu also wants to use the skill he received from Sahalin, the Dragon's Eye. This will allow Yanwu to recognize where a target's weakness is, and when he hits the weak points, his magic attack will crit.
Let's see how good this Dragon's Eye is.
God Wars doesn't have an auto-target system, so it's true that a skill's accuracy is important. But in reality, only the bare minimum is needed, because it doesn't matter where you hit the monster as long as you hit it. However, that's not the case for Yanwu anymore.
Dragon's Eye has been activated.
Yanwu also activates Long Toss, and now, it's easier for him to target an orc from a distance. If he hits a monster's weak point from as far as possible, he can maximize the damage increase effect. On his first try using the Dragon's Eye, Yanwu successfully hits an orc from the maximum range, which means the damage is amplified. He's aimed his magic at a weak point too, and that is a critical hit. Because of that, Yanwu receives a rune and the title Orc 1 Kill. He's really happy with his achievement, but he realizes that he didn't let Lucky have some fun. So, Yanwu apologizes to his little companion and promises he'll leave the last hit to him next time. After playing, an exhausted Yanwu sits in the capsule cafe. Are you really tired, Yanwu? Hyukju then comforts him before asking if he's been to the forest of reeking of fish lately. As it turns out, there's a rumor that the smell disappeared. Yanwu wonders if it's because he killed the Hidden Dungeon's boss, not expecting his main scenario to affect the world like that. Other players might notice that someone's been clearing the main scenario quests, so Yanwu has to hunt down the Annihilator Orc as soon as possible. Sometime later, Lucky successfully kills 444 monsters. The Pantheon's power courses through Lucky's body, and it isn't long before his body changes. Lucky is no longer the cute little puppy, for he's become a full-grown wolf. At the same time, the system asks Yanwu to select a new ability for Lucky, but before he can do that, he realizes he misnamed the Divine Beast. Instead of Lucky, you should have been Cheat Key, Yanwu says as he and the wolf look at the glowing skill card before them. Yanwu can't believe that skill came out there, and with it, he thinks he can defeat the Annihilator Orc by himself now. That night, the Heinz party rests in the forest. People have been talking about the Heinz party of the Rising Star Guild, but only 3 of them will hunt the Annihilator Orc. While waiting for the Annihilator Orc, one party member asks how the rotation will work, and how many parties are waiting, while another member shares there's news that someone's attempting a solo kill. Of course, they can only wonder who that is. There are a couple of rules that everyone must abide by during a party play. Any damage dealer shouldn't attack until the tanker safely sees aggro. But what if there's a skill that can forcefully take aggro anytime during battle? Elsewhere, Yanwu and Lucky face the Annihilator Orc. While doing so, Lucky declares his will of life and death toward the monster. This is a legendary skill wherein the Divine Beast challenges the target with the will of life and death. In addition, the challenged target can't attack enemies other than the Divine Beast. Using his Dragon's Eye, Yanwu targets the Annihilator Orc from the back before throwing a fireball at it. Thanks to his skills, Yanwu easily inflicts great damage on the Annihilator Orc, and at that moment, he knows it won't be long until they enter Phase 3. Around the same time, one member of the Heinz party urges the others to watch the Annihilator Orc solo play. They discuss why the player, aka Yanwu, decided to face the Annihilator Orc alone, but whatever his reason is, they're certain he'll have a hard time. It's not possible to handle its Phase 3 Annihilator mode alone. Yanwu and Lucky continue to fight the Annihilator Orc, and soon, they enter Phase 3. Yanwu quickly instructs Lucky to run, for he knows they can't afford to make a mistake now. The higher the player's level, the more important the existence of a tanker becomes. This is due to the fact that as enemies get stronger, long-distance damage dealers struggle to perform their role. However, if they have the mechanics that could distract the enemy while they deal damage, they won't need to rely on a tanker no matter how high their level gets. As he prepares to throw a fireball, Yanwu contemplates how he's been pitching a ball for his entire life, with every fiber of his being just for that moment. Eventually, Yanwu kills the Annihilator Orc. He also obtains the title Annihilator Orc Hunter, and the one who faced the Annihilator Orc alone. At the same time, since he satisfied the quest conditions, Yanwu levels up. With no time to waste, Yanwu returns to Sahalin's house, and the NPC can't believe that he's back already. Sahalin admits she thought Yanwu would take longer, and she notices that the Archmage doesn't look hurt either. Sahalin's just being sarcastic, folks. She can see how tired Yanwu is. So, since that's already a challenge for Yanwu, Sahalin declares she doesn't have the right to hear the story about the Almighty. But since Yanwu completed the mission, Sahalin prepares to reward him. Using her magic, Sahalin gives Yanwu her ring, which is untradeable. Yanwu is amazed that he's received such an item, and he even shows it to Lucky, much to Sahalin's irritation.
Stop making that dopey face,
Sahalin tells Yanwu. Let's get to the main point. And so, Sahalin narrates the story. After the gods started using the creations of the world to wage war, countless followers ran into the battlefield for the gods they worshipped. Some of them achieved legendary results, but there was one who accomplished something that no one could even come close to. He created a myth of being undefeated and brought great results for the god he worshipped in every battle, becoming someone who was feared by his enemies and an object of envy for his allies. Unfortunately, despite his efforts, the war didn't end. That was when he realized that the War of the Gods would never be over, even if he were to win a myriad of battles. While listening to Sahalin, it dawns on Yanwu that it's not enough with legendary items. The anonymous player then started looking for something that could go beyond the legends, something that could put an end to the war forever. The Almighty. It is an omnipotent weapon that can even kill a god. At that point, Yanwu acquires the title, knowing the Almighty class. When Sahalin asks if Yanwu wants to hear the rest of the story, the Archmage eagerly replies that he does. So, Sahalin decides to give him a similar task like last time, something that Yanwu anticipated would happen.
Capture 1,000 zombies in the cursed forest.
Sahalin orders Yanwu, and the main scenario updates with a new quest. Of course, Yanwu assumes he only needs to find the monster with the quest item again, only to see in the quest window that there are materials needed to investigate the cursed forest, and that he actually needs to capture 1,000 zombies. Surprised, Yanwu asks Sahalin if he really has to capture 1,000, but the NPC simply mocks him and demands to know if he doesn't want to do the quest.
No,
replies the Archmage.
I love it.
Yeah, right. Later, inside the Capsule Cafe, Yanwu thinks about how it will take him forever to capture 1,000 zombies. Then, Yukju informs him that he got a call earlier, and when he checks his phone, he sees a missed call from Tanwu. Yanwu can only hope that nothing bad has happened again, and quickly calls his brother back. But as it turns out, Yerin only wants to tell him she got an award for the drawing she made last time. Yanwu is glad to know that, and to make things even better, Yerin got first place in the city. Also, her work will be exhibited in the next competition. So, Yanwu decides they should celebrate and asks Tewu to tell Yerin they'll have fried chicken for dinner. Sadly, Yerin isn't sure about what flavor to get, and she doesn't want to ask Yanwu to buy a lot of chicken for her either. This is because before, Yanwu didn't have enough money to buy his niece whatever she wanted, but that's not the case anymore. Uncle's ballin', baby! Yanwu then tells Tewu he'll order every flavor. You mean the girl in disbelief? Eat your heart out, Tewu. Now, Yanwu is more motivated to capture 1,000 zombies. Meanwhile, Yukju admires Yanwu for doing everything he can for his family and not giving up, especially after what happened to his old account. Then, Yukju gets distracted when he sees a new video on Wars TV. The following day, Yanwu returns to the Capsule Cafe and spots Yukju, who's watching something on his phone. When Yanwu asks what it is, Yukju replies that Wars TV uploaded a new video, and it's quickly become a trending topic. According to Yukju, it's about some rich guy getting a boss solo kill by being overgeared. Annoyed, Yanwu points out that rich guys like this player are ruining the atmosphere of the game. However, when he asks what the player killed, he learns that it's the Annihilator Orc. Oh, so the video's about you, Yanwu. Curious, Yanwu watches Wars TV, wherein the hosts talk about the solo Annihilator Orc kill, revealing the ugly truth of item-dependent games. In the video, Lucky can be seen facing the Annihilator Orc, which is hit by a fireball on the back. Looking at the gameplay, it seems the Divine Beast is playing the role of a tank. People are saying it doesn't count as a solo kill, because of the Divine Beast, and Yanwu doesn't understand why there are so many views. And to think he was trying so damn hard to operate unnoticed. If Yanwu knew it was going to turn out that way, he would have sent them the footage he shot himself. At the same time, he wonders if it's too late to leak the context to the community now. While Yanwu is engrossed in the video, Yukju declares that brats who put too much faith in their items are a problem. So, Yanwu reminds him that the player who defeated the Annihilator Orc didn't kill anybody and could be a nice person. However, Yukju remembers Yanwu saying a few days ago that rich guys should all get hit by a truck or get electrocuted and die. He then tells Yukju that a person should have kind thoughts to live a comfortable life before asking him to prepare the capsule, because he's going back to the game. Later, in the cursed forest, Yanwu tries to be careful since it's so dark he can barely see. Also, in that forest, a player can easily get surrounded and annihilated by monsters. It is one of the hunting grounds that many players choose to ignore. Thankfully, Yanwu has the Dragon's Eye, so he has no problem hunting zombie orcs with his ice arrow. So far, Yanwu has hunted 74 zombies. He should have been able to hunt 100 of them by now, but Lucky's slowing him down. As if on cue, Lucky smells something, which turns out to be a black herb. This herb costs 20,000 won apiece, so naturally, Yanwu has to dig it up. After that, Lucky notices something else, but this time, it's not an item. Lucky finds an NPC lying on the ground, but he's someone Yanwu has never seen before. Yanwu immediately asks the guy if he's okay, but instead of answering his question, the NPC asks who he is. Yanwu then replies that he's Midas, an adventurer from the city of Vhagar. He also asks that he will help the NPC with everything he needs, like looking for stolen property, or if he needs an escort back to town. Of course, Yanwu isn't doing it because he's expecting something in return. Ahem, although he's still a bit dazed. The NPC thanks Yanwu and reveals that his name is Yoshi. Yoshi is a little embarrassed, but he admits he has no one else to turn to but Yanwu. He tells Yanwu he needs 100 cursed traces from the zombies, and without hesitation, the Archmage agrees to help him. When somebody asks the third-ranked player Asmo how he leveled up quickly, this is how he answered.
It's simple. Carry unique and legendary items. Borrow the power of legendary skills. Find monsters 10 to 20 levels higher than you, and quickly solo kill them.
No, that's not so hard at all. That's exactly what Yanwu is currently doing, and it isn't long before he kills 200 zombies. Yanwu never thought that leveling up would be that easy, and he doesn't forget to tell Lucky he did well too. He then decides to rest for a bit, but again, Lucky smells something. It's another NPC named Jack, who asks Yanwu to return to the city of Vhagar once he hunts the zombie orcs. In exchange, Jack will give the Archmage a reward. The curious Yanwu checks the quest window, and finds it weird that even though the Cursed Forest is an unpopular place, he received 2 field quests and hasn't run into any competitors. He also realizes that he hasn't seen anyone from the Explorer Guild since he got there, and that's when he starts thinking that maybe it's his lucky day. Huh, what do you think, Lucky? Later, Yanwu goes to the city of Vhagar and meets with Jack. Afterward, Yanwu checks the quest reward and receives a rare skill called Fire Elemental Mastery. He also prepares to open the reward he got from Yoshi, and he and Lucky can't wait to see what it is. Things have been going well for Yanwu lately, and because of that, he has been able to give his family anything. However, due to a video that's been uploaded to Wars TV, there's a risk that Yanwu's identity will be revealed to the community. Understandably, he doesn't want that to happen yet, for he'll suddenly have many competitors. Also, that could put his family in danger. So now, aside from doing everything he can to level up with Lucky and earn more money, Yanwu must be wary while completing his quests, because as Einstein once said, 2 things are infinite, the universe and the haters.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.